Hey, this is Jason Morris with Real Estate Agents That Really Work, and I'm on the phone with Larry Lee. Larry, I want you to tell everybody what you do, man, because I don't even know if I know everything that you do.
Well, if I was to apply for a job, I would tell everyone.
You're unemployable, like I am.
Yes. I would.
Yeah.
The truth of the matter is, I would tell everyone that I am a licensed mortgage loan officer. And the funny thing is, I work for a lender that does both forward and reverse mortgages. Now, I know I use the word forward. You might not have heard that before, but in our company, I'm called a forward mortgage loan officer because I don't do reverse mortgages. I do forward mortgages, if that makes any sense, right? But yeah, the long and the short, I am a loan officer. That is what I do, but that's my occupation, right? That's what my business card says, but I do a whole lot more than just fund loans for people to buy houses.
So let me ask you to clarify that a little bit more. So a forward loan officer, that's like a regular mortgage, like a regular 15 or 30-year mortgage, right?
Absolutely. So, and I know, like I said, I know it sounds crazy because when people think mortgages, they think, money to buy a house or money to, or like some sort of loan product where you can draw money out of the equity of your home. Those are all forward mortgages, right? They're financing products that are giving you the ability to purchase a house or, like I said, convert equity into spendable funds so you can go do whatever you want with it. That is all forward mortgages. But there is also the idea of a reverse mortgage. Now, I'm not an expert at it at all, but our company do a lot of reverse mortgages. So that's basically the difference. So if you don't know what a reverse mortgage is, it's literally helping a person who has a mortgage, or maybe they already have a home paid off and they would use a mortgage product to draw money out for whatever purpose. Essentially reversing the mortgage instead of going forward like I employ most of the time.
Okay, I got you, man. I got you. So what I want to talk about today, Larry, is so on my group coaching call today, for you guys that are group coaching members, if you're not a group coaching member, there's still some spots available, and just send me a message and I'll get you set up. It's only $99 a month. But okay, so what we talked about was setting up your buyer process, and I've talked about this on other recordings before. The questions that the real buyer script that a lot of people need to use, or a lot of agents need to use, is really who, what, when, where, and how. Who are you? Meaning who is your client? What's their name? If they won't give you a full name, you need to run like crazy. What do they want to buy? Meaning a condo, a house, land, whatever, and what the price range is. When do you want to buy? Meaning how soon do you want to purchase a house? Where do you want to be as far as like neighborhood, area, town, things like that? And then the last question, Larry, this is where you come in here. The last question is how, and that who, what, when, where, and how, meaning how are you going to pay for it?
Absolutely.
So that's where you come in. So what do you see the average agent go out there and do when they call you up? Like, what do you wish the average agent would do, I guess I should say?
Well, let me start with what they normally do first, okay? Whenever I get a lead or referral from an agent, which of course I totally appreciate, they're very valuable opportunities, and I treat them like they're my own. So I really value when a realtor passes me as one of their valued clients. But some of the times when a realtor does that, they don't really prepare the referral, okay? Meaning they either give them misinformation, not at the fault of their own, obviously, because they're not licensed mortgage loan officers like myself, or they literally don't prepare them for what needs to be addressed when you're ready to purchase a home. So,
yeah, a lot of agents aren't educated on the loan process at all, are they?
Maybe it's the people I work with, who knows, right? But I do tend to have to almost re-educate and almost resell the buyer on the process and the actual opportunity of buying a home. What I mean by that is they will get disheartened when I tell them, okay, let's put it this way. Talk trash or anything like that about realtors, but your job is to sell the dream, right? My job is to explain reality, right?
Yeah. How are they going to pay for the dream? And lots of times it isn't that agent that's maybe sending you the buyer. Sometimes, and I've had this to happen. Like I had a guy that, man, his granddaddy was telling him how he got a loan in 1960, and I mean, whatever. Honestly, what we were doing 2 years ago doesn't really work in today's market. The loan process has changed even in the last, in the last 10 years, man. 10 years ago, all you needed was your ID, your Social Security number, and a credit score above 700, and you could get whatever you wanted, pretty much. But it's not like that anymore.
Some lenders were willing to give you money if you just signed a sheet of paper that said, "I'll pay this back." That's how bad it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was unbelievable. I remember a guy. This is when I realized that things were probably not going well. Well, number one, I was a brand new agent. I'm not sure if I'd actually closed one house or not yet. That's how new I was. If I'd closed something, I'd only closed like one or two. And I remember talking to this lender and looking at this piece of property. Now, this was in 2003, 2004. I was looking at this piece of property that in my mind was a fantastic deal, and thank God I didn't buy it because it was a horrible deal. But, dude, it was $750,000. I had a job where I was making like $12 an hour, right? I had no real estate income, but I had a 740 credit score. And, dude, they approved me to purchase this $750,000 house.
Nice. Good job, man. You did a good job.
And, and I remember asking the guy, I remember him telling me what the payment was, and I said, oh, I had this idea that I was going to flip this house, and anyway, it wouldn't have worked out. I put it that way. Thank God somebody else bought it, put it that way. But I remember telling him, I remember him coming back and telling me my payment was going to be like $4,800 a month or something like that. It was going to be pretty steep. And I said, well, is there any way we can get the payment down? And he goes, well, I tell you what, let me check. And he calls me back and says, yeah, man, what we can do is interest only. And this was 100% mortgage. So if that would have been my only loan and mortgage experience, or experience getting a mortgage back then that would probably be the information I'd be relaying to somebody today. You know what I mean? That, hey, all you need is a credit score and you're good. So getting loan information from Grandpa and how he bought a house in 1960 probably isn't going to help us in 2017.
What? I'm sorry.
So a lot of the people coming to you, they've gotten their information from all these crazy sources, not just the agent sometimes. The agent isn't the only one that misled them sometimes.
No, you're right, Jason. And honestly, it's really bad to assume that what happened back then is going to be the same today. Not for some reason, but the first reason is that the laws and the guidelines change almost yearly, right? Sometimes even more frequently than that, right? So you, as lenders, and you probably realize this as a realtor, as lenders, we have to do continuing education every year. We have to get updated on the new guidelines and the new laws every year. And like I said, sometimes I'll get an email say, hey, we need new training on this, or this is a new guideline, and we have to now employ that guideline, and it actually might help us, and it also might hurt some of the loans that we have in the pipeline. I know of some lenders who lost deals because of a change in the guideline that shouldn't have happened. So the fact that a guideline or a law or a certain restriction can make you lose loans, that's how strict these things are. So you have to always be on top of what's going on with the lending industry and what the investors are creating in terms of guidelines and expectations. So that's the first reason. The second reason is people. I have a good perspective or view on humanity, but people tend to kind of forget details. Sometimes they stretch the truth a little bit, right? Like if someone got like a 4.725 interest rate, they might tell someone they got a 4% interest rate. Things like that happen, right? How much did you buy the house for? You bought it for $250,000, but you don't want to. You feel embarrassed that you paid a little too much, so you tell me you paid only $200,000. That happens, right?
Of course.
So not calling anyone a liar, not saying that your grandpa or your mother or your best friend or your neighbor, but relying on expert information on how to make literally the largest decision you're ever going to make in your entire life, or at least one of the most largest decisions you ever make in your entire life, basing your expertise and your experiences on someone who did it earlier in a different market, and also someone who is not licensed to give you advice, right? It's not suggested, right? I mean, and that's the reason why people like you and I exist. We're not only licensed, but we're expected to provide the most ethical, best information possible, right? So,
of course.
I know that I might be a stranger, but it's actually in my fiduciary duty to give you the best information possible versus grandma who might just tell you whatever she wants to tell you just to make you feel good about the situation.
Sometimes she just don't remember, Exactly. Sometimes she remembers the 4 on the interest rate, but she forgot about the 4.75,
Or she got gifted the down payment, so in her mind she didn't pay anything. Yeah, I got this house with no money down in my pocket.
They finance the whole thing.
Yeah, how did you pay for this, Grandma? Oh, yeah, no, they gave me 0% down, 100%. When she didn't realize that son, paid for the down payment as a gift. Who knows, right? So
yeah, something I see a lot of times with buyers is sometimes they go, oh, borrowing the money's no problem. I got perfect credit, but they won't like the property they're looking at. It's more like a specialty type product, like say for example, it's a condotel.
Yeah.
Or it's a house on lease land, and and it's not something like your average lender. It's not something Bank of America is probably going to lend them money for.
Right. And that's the thing. When I explain to a buyer, or what we call them borrowers, okay? When I explain to a buyer what it takes to purchase a house, it's literally a marriage between you as the buyer and property you're trying to buy, right? So you might be perfect, but your mate that you're trying to marry is imperfect. Therefore, you guys can't marry each other. That's and a lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people think, okay, well, if I have the money, if I have the credit, then I should be able to buy anything. No, incorrect. Because when the lenders, and when I say lenders, I mean investors as well, they're making a bet. Right? They're betting that this marriage is going to work out and they're going to get paid off of it. That's essentially what a mortgage is. I'm going to bet that you marrying this house is going to profit me, right? Well, if they see any red flags, then they start thinking, well, this is going to end up in a divorce, right? This is going to fall apart. So they don't want to.
It's highly likely to fall.
Yeah. So they might, again, that's why people have to have a certain amount of income, a certain amount of credit scores and assets in order to qualify to purchase a home. If they don't, then you're a risky bet. Do they front the money for you to purchase this house for you and then hope that you pay them back? And then
so how should an agent deal with that? Let's say I got a buyer out here. They're saying they want to buy a condo. And, they're looking at some like maybe they're condotels, maybe they're not. I don't really know. How should an agent handle that buyer and handle working with the lender with that buyer? Just send them to you as quickly as possible?
Well, it really depends on the buyer themselves. I mean, I'm not a realtor. I would never pretend to be, even though sometimes I act like I am on video, right? But I'm not a realtor, right? And I understand that you want to commit this person. You want to build a relationship with this person. So you kind of let them lead you, right? So they might not be ready for financing options, right? You want them to fall in love with the dream first, right? So
Yeah.
there's a lot of like, yes, we can help you with this. Yes, you can buy this house. You can buy this property. Yes, I would definitely make sure that we can make an offer on this. So I'm not saying that you're giving them false hope, but you don't want to lose them by trying to sell reality to them. That's my job, right?
Of course.
My job is just sell reality. So it's a very thin line that you have to walk. You don't want to lose this person because you don't want to be like, hey, you know what? Don't even look at this property because you're not going to qualify. Then they might be like, well, forget you. Then I'm going to find a realtor who's willing to help me buy this property, right? So sometimes you have to feel out the buyer and see where their head's at. If they trust you, if they're like, okay, you are my authority, you are the person I'm hiring for advice and to help me guide through this process. So please lead me on what I need to do next. That's when you could, if you want to vet them out and ask them a few questions, qualifying questions, then you can. Or you can lead me to someone like myself and then let me handle the dirty work when it comes to qualifying them, right?
Something I always ask people now, once they get past, we talk about things, I'm always very upfront with people, and I'll ask them. I'll say, hey, so if you like this house, yeah, I know you want to see the house on 123 Main Street. That's fantastic. Well, if you like the house, have you guys already talked to a lender, or are you guys paying cash? And I just wait to see what they say. Now, if we if we do have to go look at a house, or I'm sending them houses, I always ask, well, do you guys, I try to get it as early as I can in the conversation, So do you guys already have are you guys financing or paying cash? And then let them answer, then say, oh, okay, well, that's great. So you're getting a loan. Do you guys already have a lender you're talking with, or would you guys like would you guys like me to have one contact you? And I always try to send them, to my lender, Larry, I always try to send them to the person I want to send them to because I kind of want, I know the lender can't call me back and tell me, their personal financial information, but the lender, can call, that I've got a relationship with, can call me and say, hey man, Jason, that guy and his wife, if you add their credit scores together, they still can't get approved, man. You probably shouldn't you probably shouldn't waste time with them, or they can call me back and say, hey, look, they're ready to go. Man, they got money in the bank. Their credit score's great,
Right.
We can get them approved for exactly what they're looking for. So I always try to find that lender and build that working relationship with them. So but the thing that's kind of odd in today's world is not all lenders are equal, are they?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Some lenders are going to overpromise as much as they can with the intention of under-delivering. What I mean by that is they already know that what they're saying is coming out of their mouth, they might not be able to do, but they're going to do it anyways to land the relationship, right? And then there's lenders who are really careful, who don't want to tell you anything, right? They want you to give them their information, your information, so they can pull your credit, and then they'll tell you. So, like I said, you have two types of lenders. You have the one that says, "What's your score? 700? Oh, we can prove you anything." And then pour honey in the ear, therefore, making them like you. And then you have the lenders like, wait a minute, no, I don't want to talk to you at all until I look at your credit scores, right?
Yeah.
So there's two types. And when I say two types, I mean there's two spectrums. I would consider myself somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, of course. You kind of judge it based on what information you're willing to give them based on your conversation with them.
Well,
right?
This is the thing, Jason, and I know you probably understand this. I'm not lazy, right? So I don't just cut to the chase. I ask them questions, and based on the questions, I start leading them to where I want to look at the information, meaning their credit scores and whatnot, so I can, confidently qualify them or pre-qualify them. Now, if they're leery, if they're hesitant, well, no, we don't want you to pull a credit, whatever, then I adapt to that. I'm like, okay, I understand, no problem. What do you think your scores are? Have you talked to a lender yet? What was the scores that they gave you? And then I will price them, if I have to, on the rate and what I think I can do for them based on what they want to give me, right?
Yeah.
But that takes work. That's me digging into their information, me trying to find out how warm or how hot they are as a buyer. Are they ready to buy now? Are they just looking, do they trust me, right? If they don't trust me, then I have work to do because I have to earn that trust. If they trust me, then it's easy, right?
Yeah.
But again, there's people out there who they just want to pull your credit. If you don't want to work with them and you don't want to give them credit, then they say, okay, well then just let me know when you're ready, and then they move on to the next person. And then the other people who, like I said, they just sell you everything. They're also being lazy because they're not really working to find out anything about you. They just want to tell you what you want to hear, just so that you can not go anywhere else, right?
Yeah.
So,
and I feel like you guys are the same way as us. Like, I feel like realtors nowadays, there's so much information online that as real estate agents, we're really brokering trust. Where you guys are kind of that same way. We're not brokering information anymore because it's all available. You just go to Google, type in whatever you want to know, and in 5 minutes of looking around, you can probably find it. And you guys are the same way. I mean, technically, I could have a buyer and they could jump on, one of these random sites, Quicken or LendingTree or whatever, and punch in their information, and in 3 minutes they've got some sort of idea on whether or not they're qualified. And now whether or not Quicken or LendingTree or whoever it is can close the loan, now that's a bigger hurdle you got to cross, man. I feel like some of those, you never know what you're going to get when somebody has one of those pre-approval letters. And especially, it doesn't take into account the property type they're wanting to buy in, doesn't take into account a lot of the variations. In fact, unique factors in the current market they're looking in, you know what I mean?
Right.
And every market, I believe, has those little nuances or things that are unique to that market,
Right, absolutely. And it's funny that you mentioned, like Quicken and such. Essentially there's an investor somewhere, right? There's someone who's going to buy these loans. And every single lender or mortgage broker, they work for these investors, right? So our job is to find people who want to get into a mortgage product, right? And then once they're in the mortgage product, then we package it and we sell it to the investors so they can, make their profit off of the interest or whatever, servicing the loan or whatever, right? So the fact that there's different investors out there, there's different expectations and different willingness to take risks. That's why you have some banks who won't talk to anyone below a 640, and you have some banks who will talk to anyone above a 530, right?
Yeah.
So, like the place I work for, we have not only our direct lender, but we also correspond with other banks so that we can kind of address or kind of attack each type of borrower a different way. So my lender might not want to qualify them, but I have an investor who might. So I design and write the loan to fit their needs and therefore sell it to them. So
and that's the advantage of going to work or working with, like say like your company or you versus working with, say, like a Bank of America.
Yeah, and I'm not going to. I don't know their products. I don't know the way the investors work, so I'm not going to be an expert at the larger banks like Bank of America. But the great thing about banks like that is that they have a name that's strong that people trust, and because of that, people feel good about it, which is okay. And at the same time, you feel like a level of convenience because you can go to any of the branches and maybe get information from them about your loan and whatnot. You can make your payments very easily. There's a matter of convenience working with the larger banks. But you're right. They're going to have different overlays, is what we call it, or restrictions that a lot of these other lenders will have. So, the majority...
Well, with that trust and stuff of that big name, and let's just talk about it this way, with that trust comes their ability to be able to pick and choose and scrutinize loans a little bit harder than the investor out there that basically you guys are brokering loans to.
Yes, absolutely.
So therefore, if you've got a borrower that maybe their credit score is a little bit lower, they hadn't been at their job as long, they're a little bit, first time home buyer kind of situation, and we've all had our problems before, you know what I mean? And So it's probably easier for them to get approved with somebody like you versus somebody, versus that bigger bank or bigger named thing, the bigger named
Yeah,
entity or borrower, lender.
Absolutely, and the main reason why, just so you know, Jason, is because the larger institutions, they're getting so much business already, right? They have so many people flooding to them that they're allowed to be picky. They're allowed to have overlays and expectations that would cut a larger of the population out, right?
Yes.
And it makes sense to me. If I was a larger bank, that's how I would do business too. It's like, well, I only have so many resources to loan out. I'm going to make it a little bit more difficult to qualify for my time and my energy. So, sorry, if you're below 640, don't bother talking to me. I'm not going to help you because I have all these other 640s I'm trying to help, right? And of course, they have their own costs and other different types of systematic, I guess, parts of their organization that prevents them from being able to help everybody, right? Whereas like a direct lender like myself, we are able to take more calculated risk because we put more time into it. Our investors, they have a little bit more resources to share, and we don't have a flood of people coming in like Bank of America or Chase or Wells Fargo does. Again, it depends on what kind of buyer you are, but sometimes you can go with Wells Fargo and you'll be perfectly fine. You might not get the best deal. You might get the best deal. Who knows? But the fact that it's there, it's easy, you trust the name, you're getting what you pay for in that sense. I'm not going to say who's better or who's worse. It's different customers, different people serving the customers. That's basically how it breaks down.
Of course, I understand completely. So what's the difference between what you guys are doing and say a hard money lender? Because I feel like here lately, especially like in realtor groups and stuff on Facebook, man, I feel like I hear something about hard money every single day. Hey, what's the difference between what you guys are doing and hard money?
Okay, so a hard money lender, for the most part, they're not working the same way we do in terms of how the money is processed. Sometimes these hard money lenders are expecting you to pay the loan back immediately, right? Or not immediately, like not within 30 years. That's not how they work.
Yeah,
right?
It's typically a short-term loan.
Yeah, it's short-term loan. It's higher investment, higher interest, right? But of course, you get the money a lot easier or a lot quicker, right? You don't have to go through as much red tape. There's not as much bureaucracy or guidelines that you must meet in order to qualify for this money, right?
Lots of times it's based more on the property than the borrower.
Well, that's true. Yes. Hard money lenders have less restrictions when it comes to the property because essentially the way they look at it, you're going to flip the house, you're going to get the house up and running so that you can maybe rent it out or whatever. So that's one of the benefits of a hard money lender, but that's not what that's not just all they're targeting. It's just it happens to fit that kind of scenario.
Yeah, of course. So really, for your average borrower out there, I mean, because most of us agents, or most of the agents that are really listening to this, they're really working with three different types of people. They're working with the primary residence people. They're working with cruise, second home, vacation type owners,
right?
Or they're working with just a regular investor that's just they're investing the old-fashioned way. They want to buy something, 10% below market, try to make a 10% return on it over the next 15 years or 20 years. They want to pay it down and hopefully get a little mortgage pay down and a little appreciation, and that's where they'll end up making their money, hopefully.
Absolutely.
A hard money lender really doesn't fit with those three types of buyers most agents are working with.
Well, usually hard money loans are designed for what we call projects, right? Like I said, it's like a bridge loan. It's a fixer upper, right? Because no other lender will finance it, right?
Yeah.
But but they know that once you get the money, you're going to again get the property up to a level where it can be sellable, or it can be used as a rental property, and essentially you pay them back after the fact, right? So a lot of people consider it like a bridge loan in a sense.
Of course,
But
they're looking for you to. And by bridge, I know there's a lot of agents that are going to be newer listening to this, and by bridge loan, basically what you're doing is you're bridging point A to point B. Either they're going to refinance it or sell it or pay it off some way or another after the repairs are done, correct?
Yep. And it's almost like a quick investment. You're almost looking for venture capitalists, right? Like, hey, I'm going to do this with this property, but I need this amount of money, and I will pay you this much once I'm done with it. That's literally what a bridge loan would be considered. It's a very popular thing to do in real estate, for sure.
Of course. And Larry, I got like a couple more questions here for you. And my group, they want to hear more from lenders. They actually, one of the comments was that they thought I should interview more lenders. But okay, so what things should an agent look for? Say if you're a new agent just getting started out there. I believe that a new agent getting started, one of the first things they need to do, especially, or really any agent getting started, if they're going to work with buyers, they need to start working on those lending relationships very, very quickly.
Right.
What type of lender do you think they should work with?
When you become a realtor, right, and people know about it, you're going to get
what quality should they be looking for?
Well, you're going to get a lot of lenders reaching out to you. The quality lender, I would probably depend on the realtors that you're already working with and ask them, right? Because obviously the ones that you're going to ask will be the ones that are a little bit more successful, maybe a little bit in the business a little bit longer. So they probably have a cadre of lenders that they've worked with before that they can depend on. And that's how I would probably go about doing that, because otherwise you're exposed. You have no idea what you get yourself into. And you're going to have lenders who might, abuse your clients or just do a really bad job of communicating with you or servicing your needs. And us lenders, we might have kind of a chip on our shoulder because we work with a lot of bad realtors, right? So we might have a chip on our shoulder, so we might not be patient with the newer realtors, right? So if you kind of display that, you don't know what you're doing, and you show that, you're going to be a kind of a project to work with, then you might scare off some good lenders, people who can do a good job for you, but because they're so used to working with, veterans or professionals, they don't want to give you the time of day. And it's unfortunate that happens because, with the right guidance and the right relationships, a lender can really be a great ally to you, and at the same time, you could be a great ally to them. One of the favorite things I have about new realtors is that they always have a strong sphere of influence that's just ready to help that new realtor out in terms of giving referrals and whatnot, and that's always fresh business for a lender. So I embrace a relationship with a new realtor, especially if they're a hustler or they're ready to go to work and they're taking it seriously. Which is why I do like your group, Jason, because the people in your group, they seem to be they're not half timers. They're not just in it for a hobby or a part time thing. They're really trying to make a career out of this, and hopefully it seems like they're trying to become ultimately and wildly successful in real estate. So no matter if they're new or if they're veterans, I do find quality in those type of realtors, and I find a lot of them in your group. But if you're gonna ask me for advice on what a new realtor should do, you probably should really get good at vetting out your potential buyers, and you're gonna need a lender to help with that. They're gonna give you questions that you should ask And, these questions are, I would say, information gathering questions. They're not really probing questions, but they're more like, is this person ready to purchase? Is this person ready to go out and make the largest purchase they'll make in their entire lives? If you ask the right questions and they answer them in a way that you believe that they qualify, then trust me, a lender will love to talk to that person, and you guys should have a harmonious relationship.
One thing.
What?
One thing that I've seen agents do is they drive around people that are unqualified. Especially new agents are bad at this. They want to make a deal and get a sale and get something under contract so bad they will show anybody property.
Right.
So, one thing, I tell you what, let's spend a minute or two talking about this. One thing that I've seen that there's certain traits in people that more than likely, and think about this, and I'd like to hear what you have to say. If somebody does blank, chances are they're possibly a good qualified borrower, right? So, what kind of quality? Yeah, what kind of quality? Like here's one, for example. If I'm talking to a buyer and they tell me, yeah, I've worked for this company, or I ask them, what kind of work do you do? And they say, oh, I've worked for this type of this company for 20 years. I immediately think, wow, that person's got a stable job. They've got stable, stable income. They probably have a pretty stable life. There's nothing real crazy, and they probably live within that budget that they make.
No, I understand exactly what you're saying. Yeah, there's a few questions that are very simple, and it's almost common sense if you think about it, but very simple that you can ask to know what you're dealing with, right? The first question is, of course, have you been pre-qualified? If they say no, it doesn't mean that they're not doing their homework. It might just mean you're the first person they talk to, which is great, right?
Yeah.
So you ask them, have you been pre-qualified? Because you need to know how much they can purchase. So when someone goes, well, I don't know, it's like, well, I want to look at a $200,000 house. Well, have you been pre-qualified for $200,000? Well, no, not yet. It's like, okay, well, why not? What have you been doing? What kind of research have you been doing? Whatever it is. They might give you really good answers like, oh, well, I did a mortgage calculator, and I make this much money, and my neighbor makes less than I do, and they have a $200,000 house. I figure that means they're kind of doing the research, right? Which is good.
Yeah.
Now, if
that's a good time.
Now if you ask them, well, how much you want to buy? It's like $200,000. Like, well, how do you know that? It's like, well, that's just the number we came up with. That's not good. That's not a good answer. Okay. That means
lots of times they use the mortgage calculator, but they didn't factor in taxes and insurance.
Absolutely, and it's really hard to do that anyways. So you're definitely going to need to talk to a lender to give you a better sense of how much you can afford. But yes, you can almost guess. You can almost, if you do the math correctly, you can almost guess how much you can afford. So that's the first question I would ask. And depending on how they answer it, you can tell if they're doing their homework or if they're literally just kind of just floating around and just randomly trying to get into a house and they don't even know what it takes, right? So that's the first question I would ask. And depending on how they treat it is how you can kind of judge. Now, let's say they answer it correctly. Then you go, okay, great. So you haven't been pre-qualified, but you know how much you want to purchase. What kind of payment are you trying to achieve? Like, are you trying to?
Yep. What you want your payment to look like?
Yeah. And if they give you a number that makes sense to the house that they're trying to buy, then again they're doing the math correctly, right? They're well informed and they're prepared, right? Now, if you go, well, how much are you trying to get on a monthly payment? They're like, we don't know. We're just, whatever. They don't even know what this goes into, right?
Yeah.
They're just, again, they're just trying to get into a house. They don't even know that they need to pay for it, really. We didn't think about that.
I've had people call me about $200,000 houses before, and you talk to them on the phone, and you give them the price, and they go, oh, okay. And say, well, what were you guys looking for? What price range are you guys hoping to be in? And they said, well, we don't know. And then my next question is, well, what do you think you want your payment to be? And if they come back with, oh, we're looking for a payment of about $300, you almost want to respond, well, good luck in our market,
Right.
do you have 75 to $100,000 to put down? We can get you there. Um,
Right.
but yeah, and sometimes I've seen people too. They have unrealistic ideas of what a payment is going to be like on a $200,000 house, or honestly, a lot of people don't really. Some people are so educated they know more about the neighborhood than the realtor they're working with, but then some people are so uneducated. They think they can buy that $200,000 house and have a payment of $400 a month and put $0 down.
Well, that's probably because they talk to grandma, right?
Yeah, grandma's got a $300 house payment.
And see, and that's the thing. You kind of touched upon it, down payment, right? And that's probably, to me, the ultimate qualifier. Okay, if you ask someone, okay, great, I know, it sounds like you know what you're looking for. It sounds like you know what a payment you want to get to. How much do you have saved up as a down payment? If they go,
Yep.
we don't have nothing. We're hoping for down payment assistance, or we're hoping. Okay, right there, I already have a red flag. I'm not saying that people cannot buy a house without a down payment, but if they don't have a down payment, then obviously they just started, or they really don't understand what it takes, right?
Oh yeah.
But if they say, oh, well, I have at least 20% down, or I have at least $10,000 down, or $30,000 down, or when we're looking for a $200,000 house, we have $40,000, so that's 20%. If they start talking like that, they are definitely prepared.
Yeah. If you're an agent, you need to try to pick them up now to show them that house.
Absolutely. Don't even bother. I mean, you can ask them really quick vetting questions like, okay, what do you think your score's at? Well, they're probably going to be 650, 700. Well, then, yeah, put them in the car and drive them around. If they know how much they want to buy, if they told you what their payment's going to be, if they told you they have like 10 to 20% down, and they think their score is about 650 or higher, actually 700 should be the number you should be going for. But if you hear 650, we can probably get them done. Then yeah, go ahead and show them some houses, and if you get them to lock in, then that's when you call someone like me, and I would be glad to speak to them at that point.
Yeah.
But yeah. So if they answer those questions correctly or in the way that you like, then that's good. If they're kind of beating around the bush, if they're kind of like, oh, we don't know yet, we're hoping to get borrow some money from grandma, then that's when you should really get me involved right away. That's when you should be like, you know what? It sounds like you guys are great customers. We definitely want to help you and everything like that. But typically, we like to have you pre-qualified so we can shop intelligently, right? So here's a few suggestions, and that's when you get me involved, because you can potentially waste a lot of time and energy with someone who doesn't even qualify.
Of course.
So that's kind of like. So you're kind of smelling them out. Is this person really qualified, or are they iffy? If they're iffy, that's when you involve me. If they are qualified, then you don't have to involve me right away. Just do a good job, sell them, get them to fall in love with you, and then you can let me know about it. That's the way I would approach it if I was a new agent.
I think that's probably one of the biggest reasons, like, newer agents give up the business completely is nobody really ever teaches them to qualify.
Well,
I think about it and I look back and I think about, offices that I've worked at. We get sometimes, like, I'm not talking bad about anybody's broker in charge, but sometimes your broker in charge, or a lot of brokers in charge out there, they'll teach you, what the contract says. They teach you what the paperwork says, but they don't ever really teach you how to explain that paperwork to your buyer or seller.
Right.
And I think that happens a lot too with new agents, especially new agents. They teach you, the broker in charge or, trainer's really excited about having you learn how to do Facebook ads. But, and you're getting a ton of leads from this, but they don't ever teach you how to pre-qualify those leads. They don't ever teach you what questions to ask to decide if that buyer is going to be able to buy, if they're not going to be able to buy. They never have a sales system in place, is what I've learned for most agents. They're at A and they want to get to Z, but to get there, they want to skip all the letters, and that's something I see a lot of agents. They never have that process in place I believe to look like a professional, we need to have a professional process that people fit into. It's kind of like, when you go to an attorney. If you have a legal problem and you go to an attorney, you're not really there with the attorney just to hang out and talk to him. You're going there because you feel like that guy's got a plan. The guy's got a plan to get your problem fixed. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I feel like as agents, if we're working with buyers, those people are contacting you because they want to buy a house. And they're hoping that when they contact you that you have a plan that you can put them into to buy a house. And I don't think most buyers agents, I don't think they have any plan at all. A lot of them. I don't think a lot of agents understand they actually have to follow up with people too. They think, hey, somebody registered on my site, they're mine. But they don't realize that person registered on 10 sites. And, they're getting properties from 10 different agents. And that's probably, that could even be on the low end sometimes. You know what I mean? Right. So, and I feel like working with a lender is an integral part of that buyer system. And agents just don't put together that buyer system to be able to figure out what to do. But most importantly, figure out what not to do as they go. The first time you do something, you're going to suck. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, like LeBron James, when he first started playing basketball, he probably sucked. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, he wasn't a basketball star like he is today when he first picked up a basketball. And for agents, a lot of agents don't understand, that first buyer you take out, the second buyer, man, maybe the 10th buyer, it may or may not be a good experience. I don't know. But, you could get lucky and the first buyer you share property to, you write your first contract. But chances are, but most agents, most brokers, and most offices never teach that agent a replicable system where they can figure out, like, hey, this is what went wrong. Damn, the last 5 people I showed property to, none of them were qualified. What am I doing wrong? And, technically, if you got a sales system, you go back and figure out, damn, I should have had him call Larry a little bit sooner, I should have had him call Larry before I had him meet me and put him in the car with me.
Right.
And I don't believe agents have that. Especially most newer agents, most buyers agents, they never create that sales system. They never think it through enough to say, hey, this is what I'm going to do with these people. This is what I'm going to do to get my buyer's agency agreement or my letter of engagement signed, where I'm actually working for that person. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know if you know this, but most states, at least the state of South Carolina, I can really speak for because I know it. For me to have a relationship with you, and consider you a client, I have to have that relationship in writing.
Right.
I have to have some kind of written agreement. And typically, I think most states it's a 1 or 2 page form. It's nothing that's really that big of a deal if you know how to explain it correctly. But here's the thing too, like, if I hire an attorney, I have to have an engagement letter with the attorney.
Right.
So why shouldn't we expect them to sign an engagement letter with us,
Absolutely.
And most agents worry about having this because they don't have a process or a presentation to show what their value is going to be. Their value is, hey, we have a website with a property search. To think about it, if you're at a big brokerage, everybody at your entire brokerage has that same property search that you do. Everybody in your market, chances are, has some sort of IDX search. Agents never really have a way to differentiate themselves.
And the funny thing is, Jason, you probably described like the last 2 agents I talked to, right? And again, bless their heart, they're just trying to, get a deal.
Like that,
right?
Bless their heart. Yeah, they're just trying to get a deal.
Yeah, they're just trying
they got a life bill to do,
Yeah, absolutely. And again, if when I think about your business, your side, Jason, you guys are literally a bunch of franchises, right? That's what you guys are.
Yes.
You guys are your own business.
We're many businesses.
Yeah. Yeah, and not every franchise is a good franchise. What I mean by that is that not every broker is going to develop a good franchise because they don't provide the training or the foundation that they need to hit the ground running. Right? It's almost like sink or swim. Right? Yeah, they don't allow us to do that as lenders. We have to know the guidelines. We have to know the rules. We have to know the laws. If someone was to give us a contract, we have to know how to read it, and we have to know how to originate the loan around it, right? And the thing about what you're saying is it's not the fault of the new agents. It's literally
the broker's fault. It's the broker they work for's fault.
Well, it's literally the market, right? The market the brokers who know what they're doing, they're the ones who are successful. They're the ones who are providing the training. And the other brokers who are kind of sliding by, and maybe they are successful, maybe because of luck or because of their sphere of influence, whatever, they're not putting the time and energy towards their new agents. Therefore, the new agents either make it or they don't. Like you said, you might get lucky and the first person you talk to might buy a house and they'll float you for the next 6 months so you can actually learn off of that, right? But if you don't make a sale in your first 2 or 3 months, you're screwed and you're going to end up quitting because you don't have enough money to finance the education that you need through experience. Right?
You're right. You know what? The easiest way to get over that feeling of no motivation, discouragement, those feelings is to make progress towards your goal and make progress. Here's the thing I find interesting. Like, and I talk to a lot of realtors, and this is one of the reasons I find it interesting is a lot of them say, "Oh, well, yeah, that client went with so and so down the street, but we do the same thing as them." Yeah, you might do the same thing, but you didn't relay it in a way that showed where you do anything better. It's kind of like hamburgers, Larry. If everybody had the same hamburger, why would we need both Hardee's and McDonald's?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
We just need one of them if everybody served the same hamburger. Or Carl's Jr., like you guys might have Carl's Jr. We wouldn't need In-N-Out Burger and Sonic. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and I don't think a lot of agents understand that. And I think that one of the biggest ways you differentiate yourself is with a team.
Yep, absolutely. I was about to say that.
You differentiate yourself with a team.
Yep.
And
because
I think
we're all working together. No one gets paid until a house is sold.
That's right.
Essentially, no one gets paid.
And I think your team includes your lender. And if you're I'm in an attorney state, my other part of my team, other than the lender, when I'm working with a buyer, is the attorney I'm using. If you're in a title state, it's a title company, and you also have your home inspector. And the agent, I feel like the agent that has that team together and they have that system together the best is going to do the most business.
Well, I'll tell you this real quick, Jason. When you have a team, right, you have more people closing those buyers. You have more people.
Of course.
You have more people putting the hooks into them. You have more people creating value for them, right? So when they get introduced to you and your team, they're like, wow, these are the people that are going to take care of me. It's a lot harder to break off of that to go to another agent when all they have is the agent, right? I mean, you're going to be like, okay, I can go with this one agent or I can go with this team, right?
Of course.
So you just put yourself in a winning position when you have more people, trying to, again, we all get paid from this one deal, but if that deal doesn't go through, we don't get paid. So it's a team effort. We all win and lose together.
That's right. Like that agent that just appears, like say, I think that any buyer that you have a serious conversation with, and now I'm talking about the agent, not really the lender, but any buyer, say you came through my website, I call you up, we have a meaningful conversation, right? We have a meaningful conversation. We talk about the house that you want to buy. We talk about your kids. We talk about you got a lease ending in 60 days. You want to be able to move out of your apartment right into, a house with a 2-car garage. We talk about all that stuff. Things are fantastic. Okay. Now, the thing that most agents don't realize is, hey, you're a really nice guy. And yeah, we had a meaningful conversation, but you told that same story to 4 other agents, right?
Right.
You told that same story. You've talked about your kids. You've talked about the house you want to buy. You talked about the neighborhood you want to live in with 4 other agents. And you asked the same questions. And here's the thing. Those other 4 agents set you up on the exact same search that I'm going to set you up on. Okay.
Yep.
So the thing that agents need to do is they need to, not only do they need to say, hey, Larry, okay, so you want that 3-bedroom house with the 2-car garage, and you want to be in the $200,000 price range, and you want to be in this neighborhood over here. That sounds great. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a search, and I'm going to send you all the properties that are available today. Then I'm going to set you up on alert so that any new property that comes on the market is going to get sent to you. And then agents, what they need to do is they need to say, and Larry, what I want to do is I want to send you out an email that tells about me, my team, and what we do to help buyers find houses. It's going to go through the process for you, and it's going to tell you who some of our vendors are. That way, you can already think about, when you do find the house, you know a lender that you're going to use, a home inspector you're going to use, but you know about who you're working with. And so agents never send out an introduction letter. If you don't believe me, secret shop like 10 agents in your market. Don't tell them that you're a mortgage lender. Secret shop like 10 of these agents, and none of them's going to send you an initial, like an introduction email. Okay, and then most of them, once they put you on that drip, they don't never set their self up on that same e-alert, so they never know when you're getting properties.
Oh my
so
gosh.
they can't really call you and say, hey Larry, hey man, did you see that house that got emailed that came on the market this morning? Man, that thing's fantastic. It's exactly what you told me you were looking for. Plus, it's got granite countertops. It's in a neighborhood, and it's got a fenced-in backyard because you said you had a dog, right? They never have that opportunity to follow up. And I know this happens because I've had a lot of buyer's agents over the years, and I've seen them do this. So they never follow up with that person. So they never send out the initial email. Then they never set themselves up to be able to follow up. They think, hey, we talked to Larry. Larry likes me. Larry's a nice guy. I'm a nice guy. I got him on this e-alert. He's going to call me when he sees something he likes. But the thing is, by the time you hang up the phone with them, hey, and you've spent a few days filling out some forms online and looking on every website that's out there, damn, you got 10 agents sending you stuff. And the thing is, half of them, 3/4 of them, are going to your spam.
Yep.
So, and that agent never calls you up and says, hey, Larry, I know you're looking for this. I think this house is perfect for you, man. You want to go see it today? You want to go see it tomorrow? What's your work schedule look like so we can go take a look at this and get an offer in on this thing? So, and then, even with that being said, these buyer's agents, they don't have a follow-up process. That was one of the things I went over in my group coaching was the follow-up process. What do you say on the first follow-up? What do you say on follow-up number 5? What do you say on follow-up number 10? And with buyer's agents, really, with working with buyers, you've got the perfect excuse to follow up and the perfect thing to follow up, with, because, man, if you set yourself up on the e-alert that you're sending them, you set it up so you get copied the same time they do on that new property, you have the perfect reason to follow up with them. It's hard to plan follow-ups and schedule it like in your CRM doing that, but at the same time, it's, it sends you an email. It sends you an email that says, hey, Larry got this property too. And you can, worst case, if you can't get them on the phone, you can text them, you can email them, you can, just because you can't talk to them doesn't mean you can't communicate with them,
But what you're saying to me is gold. I wish I had an excuse to follow up with my people all the time. I can't call them every single time rates change. They'll get annoyed by me. They'll stop answering my call. I don't have a reason to call, but you do. I mean, that makes sense. You're telling them, hey, there's a new property that you might want to check out.
Yeah, as a lender, it's really about the only thing you can do is call up the agent and go, hey, Jason, what's going on with John Smith? We got him approved, man. You talked to him? What's going on with him? Did you get any contracts this weekend? You know what I mean? There's not a lot. there's not a lot of follow-up you can really do with a buyer, but that buyer's agent, they have multiple reasons to follow up. Man, they got a reason to follow up if they're not sending out properties to them. Hey, Larry, man, the market's been a little bit crazy. I know you wanted to be under 200,000. We're just not seeing anything under 200,000 like you want. Man, do you want to up your price range a little bit? Maybe we can up it to like 220. See what's out there. Maybe we can make an offer on something. If you see you like something, so there's all kind of opportunities to follow up with these buyers, and buyers agents just don't do it.
And to add to what you're saying, Jason, there's competition, obviously, right? So when a person shows interest in purchasing a house, you have agents basically fighting for the person's attention to help them find the home of their dreams, right?
Yep.
I tell you this, if you can manage to pivot that buyer to get a pre-qualification with a lender, then there's a strong chance that buyer will not leave that lender because the lender has all the information. I have your social security number, I have your ID, I have your credit information, I have your pay stubs, your W-2. I have everything, right? I know more about you than you know about yourself, and guess what? Because I have information, you don't want to go share that with 10 other lenders, right? I mean, you might share with a couple to shop around, but you're not going to go talk to 10 different lenders. So whichever lender they like the most, and whichever lender they feel is doing the best job, that lender is going to be that's the realtor that they're going to work with. Does that make sense?
That's right.
It's almost.
It does. It kind of locks them in.
Yeah,
locks them into you a little bit. Man, I think working with a solid lender that you can hand these buyers off to. If anybody listening to this, if you're an agent, you're having trouble hanging on to buyers, and you're having trouble, with buyers going to other people and other stuff, you need to find a strong lender to work with. Then you need to set yourself up a follow-up system, because you think about it, man. Your cousin might be a real estate agent. Shit, I've had this happen to me. Your cousin might be a real estate agent, but if your cousin isn't following up with you, but Realtor John Smith is following up with you every 2 or 3 days, keeping you informed of what's coming on the market, what's going under contract, calling in, saying, hey, man, do you want to see the house over here? It just came on the market this morning. I think it's going to go quick. It looks like it's exactly what you need. You've got that guy calling you like that. Who are you going to buy from? Absolutely. Are you going to buy from your cousin that, shit, you saw at Christmas and he hadn't even returned your call about going to look at a house? Are you going to buy with, Realtor John Smith that follows up with you every day? That's keeping you informed.
And this kind of goes along. And again, this is the reason why I'm a fan of your page. Okay, Jason. There's a stigma, right? That realtors and lenders as well are overpaid, right? Like we're paid too much, supposedly, right? And,
yeah, that's right.
Well, and the reason why is because these realtors who send them listings and say, hey, give me a call if you find something you like, and then I'll take you there. And then if you like it, we'll make an offer, and then that's it. There's no work to be done, right?
That's right.
You're practically making the buyer do all the work for you. and all you did was, furnish the contract, and that's it. I mean, no wonder people hate on realtors and lenders and saying that we get overpaid. But the agent or the realtor that is actively searching for that dream home for you and is actively keeping up and making sure that you have options there and basically serving you the opportunities instead of expecting you to find it yourself, those are the people that actually, should get paid what they get paid. But it's the agents who just set it and forget it with these buyers. They're the ones who give us a bad name, and they're the ones who essentially make us look like we're overpaid. So I totally appreciate what you're saying.
I've never had a client or a potential client to say, hey, I didn't work with Jason because the guy just followed up too much with me. I've never heard that. I mean, think about it, man. I've never heard anybody say, you know what, damn, Jason Morris kept me too informed about what was going on. There's sometimes I'm sure that, every now and then a seller gets sick of hearing from me, especially if they haven't listed with me. But I've never had one of them say, I never called one of them and say, yeah, man, we listed with so-and-so, down at ABC Realty. He followed up with us one time. We didn't hear back from him until there was something to talk about. You know what I mean? Well, you followed up with us, man. You followed up with us all the damn time. We didn't like that. I've never had a seller say that, and I've never had a buyer say that. Typically they're saying, "Oh man, well we used so and so. We never heard from the guy. We never heard from that lady down there at, ABC Realty. You know what I mean?" So I think that's one of the downfalls in our market and our industry is that we're probably, as realtors, we're the only sales industry that don't believe we have to have a sales or follow up process with our prospects. We're the only sales industry that don't believe we're salesmen. It's the most unbelievable thing, but Larry, I really appreciate you being on this call with me today, man. So if somebody wants to get in touch with you, what states do you do mortgages in?
Right now, I am licensed in Texas, Colorado, and Michigan. Arkansas is going to be happening pretty soon. We're also working on Ohio. I have to digress a little bit. I'm a little bit lazy. I'm supposed to submit information for California and Nevada. I haven't had a chance to do that. But when I first worked at a call center, meaning a lender that provided a lot of leads, right, and all we did was to pummel the phone, they licensed us in a lot of states because we got leads from everywhere, which is why I'm used to working in different states. So forgive me if it seems like I'm kind of overkilling it, but I do it for a reason. I have contacts all over the country, so that's why I have so many different states. But Texas is where I'm at. But yeah, I mean, and if you need a lender that to service your business, and you have a lot of business, and you haven't found a lender in your area, let me know. And if we have a good talk, I might get licensed just to help you out. Okay, so I'm willing to work anywhere if possible. My lender, and I don't want to advertise anything like that, but my lender works in pretty much 48 states. I think the 2 states that we don't have is probably going to be New York and maybe Hawaii. I'm not sure. I have to double check, but definitely we don't have New York. But if you have business in a state that you can't help and you need someone to help you, I might be able to find someone on my team to help you with that, and I'll quarterback the deal for you. But yeah, those are the states I'm licensed in.
Awesome, man. Awesome. That's really cool, man. Well, I tell you what, I'm in the recording here. I really appreciate you being on with me today, and thanks so much, man.